Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I am back with another video, and this time we are doing a fill and repair. So as you can see, her middle finger is broken, so I'm gonna go ahead and remove the gel polish from it and file it down a little bit, and we're gonna let that soak while we do the rest of the nails. So whenever they're only missing one nail, I go ahead and just do the clip with the acetone and cotton ball and let that soak while I work on the other nails. Again, to remove the gel polish, I use a coarse drill bit, and it is a safety bit just because it's so coarse that you do not want to fall on their natural nail or cut their skin or cut them while you're working on the nail. So again, this is a coarse drill bit and it is a safety one. So we're just going to go ahead and remove the gel polish from all of the nails. If they have on regular polish, then of course you would just remove it with a nail polish remover. Alrighty, so after that, I'm going to go in and just push those cuticles back. Once we do that, I'm going to go in and just follow down the nail that's soaking just a little bit, just so it can finish soaking a little bit quicker. And again, you're only following on the actual acrylic. Again, this is just to thin it out to kind of speed up the process. After that, I'm going to go in with a sanding band. This is a 180 sanding band. And again, we're just going to remove the shine from the natural nail. Remember, when you're doing this, you want to make sure that you remove all of the shine. But remember, we're only filing to remove the shine from the natural nail. We're not doing this because we want to thin out the nail. We literally just want to get rid of that shiny layer. If you do not do this correctly, you will get lifting. It's kind of like water and oil. They just do not mix together. So if you were to put that acrylic over that shiny layer, your acrylic will lift up really easily. So again, we're just removing that shiny layer. You want to make sure that you do not use anything more coarse than a 180 sanding band, because if not, you will thin out your client's nail really bad. So again, we're only filing the natural nail and we're using a 180 sanding band. Alrighty, so after that, we're just gonna dust them off and we're gonna apply the primer. So I'm using my OPI Bondex. As you guys know, I use the OPI Bondex because I have a lot of it. But I promise you, it don't matter what primer you use. If you're not prepping the nail correctly or following the acrylic afterwards, you will still get lifting. So again, I recommend that you use a primer that matches your brand, but I use OPI because I have a lot of it. So for my acrylic, I'm using my Mia Secret acrylic system in the color pink. Just pink, not multi-valence, not cover pink. It's just pink, which is a translucent pink. For my brush, I'm using my Alpha brush in a number 9. I do have a promo code for them, so I'll leave that down in the description. And recently, I've been having a lot of people asking me, do I like the brushes? And yes, I absolutely love them. I have different sizes, so that's all I use. But as you can see, I place my bead closer to the cuticle area and just gently pat it down into place and brushing it down towards the tip. I'm going to place another one right a little bit below that one, pushing it up towards the cuticle area. Remember, you don't want it to touch the cuticle because if not, it will be really hard to fall off and most likely you will get lifting. And if it does, then just go back and clean around that cuticle area with your brush. And as always, just look at your nail from different angles. As you can see, I've did another bead closer to the tip just to make sure that we have enough strength. But other than that, we place our bead closer to the cuticle area, gently pat it down. As you can see, I'm doing it really gently, patting it down into place and then brushing down towards the tip. And again, just clean around that cuticle area if your acrylic starts running. And as always, make sure that you're wiping your brush off a lot while you're working because that acrylic will get stuck on your brush and it will be impossible to have a smooth application. This part right here is an actual speed. So as you can see, I take my time, I place my bead down, brush it down towards the tip, and as you can see, I do everything really gently. Again, if you put too much pressure to dragging your acrylic, you're just going to be removing that acrylic once you wipe it off on the paper towel. So be really gentle, and then when you brush it down towards the tip, be sure that you're only like literally feathering it down, because again, you want most of that acrylic to stay right there where you put it at to build that apex, and then just kind of blending it down towards the tip. Alrighty, so we're going to go ahead and speed it up, but again, we place our bead closer to the cuticle area, pat it down, and then brushing it down towards the tip. And then as always, look at your nail from different angles to make sure if you need to apply, or to see if you need to apply some more acrylic, but you have to just determine that on your own. And just looking at it from the side, making sure that you have a nice apex, which is where your nail gets its strength from. And then also making sure that your tip is not too thin and it's not going to break off. So it's going to be different for each nail. It always depends on how big was your first bead. So again, just look at it and make that decision. But usually whenever it's like a fresh set, I do like 3 or 4 beads. But remember, you do want to make sure that you work smarter and not harder. You don't want to just keep applying acrylic over and over and over again to where it's going to be like a super thick, because then you're going to have a lot of filing to do. So make sure that you look at your nail. If you need to add a little bit more, just add it in that spot. Don't just add it all over the nail, because again, you will be left with a lot of filing. Alrighty, so we are on the last nail. So after that, we're going to go ahead and take that clip off, and the acrylic was soaked off. So we went ahead and pushed the cuticles back and just prepped the nail by removing the shine from that natural nail. After that, we're going to size our tip. As you can see, I used the clear tips. So we're sizing it. Remember, if one tip is too small and the other one's too big, always go with the bigger one and just file the sides down to make it fit perfectly, because if not, your nails will crack. I used my KDS nail glue. I applied it on the nail tip and I kind of didn't apply enough, so I had to apply a little bit more and just hold it down for a few seconds. And since it is a coffin shape, we're going to trim down the sides. And I didn't have to cut it down because it's already the same length as her other nails. So I'm just going to still measure it just to make sure. And then I'm going to go in with this straight edge nail clipper to just trim down the sides. And again, this is just to save us time whenever we're filing. I'm using my 100 nail file, and we're just shaping it into a coffin. After that, we're going to go in with the primer and then with the acrylic. So it's always, remember, it's always the same process. All the steps are always going to be the same. It's just a matter of doing it over and over and over again. Once you have a lot of practice, everything's going to be much easier. It's going to go way smoother. So don't, get discouraged if it doesn't lay down smoothly. Just make sure that you keep practicing and just do not give up. It takes a lot of time. It took me a long time to get to where I am now, but again, it's just a matter of practicing. But as you can see, I placed my bead right in the middle of the nail, brushed it down towards the tip. Another one right below that one. My next one will be right above that one, or below, sorry. Again, it just depends on how your first and second one looked. As you can see, my tip was still a little bit thinner, which is why I added another one. As always, it just depends on what size bead you got in the first place. So my third one I placed right closer to the cuticle area, brushing it down towards the tip. And then I'm going to go ahead and do another one. As always, make sure that you have a nice stress area, because if not, your nails are going to break off if they're just flat. And then making sure that your free edge or your tip is thick enough to where it's not going to break off either. Okay, so now we're going to go in with our 100 nail file to reshape the nails. As you guys know, after wearing your nails for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, however long, it kind of takes away from your shape. The corners get a little bit rounded, so we have to go back and reshape the nail. Also, because when you apply your acrylic, again, it takes away from that shape. So we're just going back to redefine that shape. As always, when I'm doing coffin, I alternate from side to side, filing at a 45-degree angle, and then when I file the free edge, I file at a 90-degree angle to make sure that my tip is nice and straight. So we're going to go ahead and do that to all the nails. Again, this is a 100 nail file. So after we're done reshaping the nails, we're going to go in with a fine drill bit to file the nails. As always, whenever you're filing, you want to start from the right side over to the left side, just going in a horseshoe shape, just going from side to side until you're able to see where the cuticle is, where the natural nail is, and where the acrylic is. And whenever I say that, I don't mean there has to be a super big gap. Literally just until you're able to see the natural nail. As you can see there, you can kind of see it a little bit. And again, this is just to make sure that your acrylic is not on the skin, because if it is, you're going to get lifting. I promise you, I know what I'm talking about. I went through the same thing. I thought I was doing everything correctly, but it's just that I was not following really good to seal that cuticle area, and I kept getting lifting. So you have to make sure that you do this step correctly. And it got to the point where I noticed that I needed to be able to see where my cuticle was, where the natural nail is, and where the acrylic is. That way I knew that it was sealed really good. And her set was actually on for over a month. As you seen at the beginning, it was really grown out. So I still didn't have any lifting. Again, it takes a lot of practice to get to this point, but it's just a matter of practicing. And again, you just literally go from the right side over to the left side, going back and forth until you're able to see those three things. File the rest of the nail to make sure that it's nice and smooth, and that's pretty much it. So it's not a lot, but it does take practice, or you just might be a natural and can do it perfectly the first time, but for me it took a while. But make sure that you just keep practicing and you'll be there in no time. Also, remember that when you're doing this, you want to make sure that you keep your file moving at all times. You do not want to leave it in one spot for too long, because it will cause friction and it's going to cause your client's nail to burn. So make sure that you keep your file moving at all times. Also, again, I'm using a fine drill bit. You don't want to use anything more coarse than a fine drill bit, because it's possible that you can cut them. They also have the safety drill bits in a fine grit, but sometimes even with those, it's a little bit harder to get really close to that cuticle area to seal that area really good. So I do recommend that you just get a regular fine drill bit to do this part. Alrighty, so now we're going to go in with a buffer, and this is just to get rid of any of the scratches left from our e-file. So we're going to go ahead and buff really good. After that, we're just going to dust them off and wipe them off with an alcohol wipe. And as always, you want to make sure that you do not skip this step, because if you just go ahead and polish after filing, you will be able to see all of those scratches through your polish. So make sure that you buff them. And as you can see, I always run my thumb over the top of the nail to make sure that it's nice and smooth. If not, I go back and file some more. Alrighty, so I am just wiping the nails off with an alcohol wipe, and we're gonna keep it really simple. This color is so freaking pretty. This is actually from Madam Glam in the color Rich Kernel, and it is a really pretty fall color. It's like a burnt orange, and then it has like a gold metallic kind of look to it. Y'all, it's so freaking pretty. So I'll leave the link down in the description, as well as my promo code to Madam Glam. And we're just going to do that on all the nails. As always, I cure each coat for 30 seconds, and we are doing 2 coats. So we're going to go ahead and put this hand under the light. I'm going to be using my Melody Susie UV LED lamp. We're curing for 30 seconds, and then we're going to go ahead and do the same thing on the other hand. Alrighty, so we did the 2 coats of color. We cured each coat for 30 seconds. And now I'm just going in with my IBD gel top coat. As you guys know, this is the one that I always use and I never have an issue with it. And it's really, really shiny, so I'll be sure to leave that link in the description. Alrighty, y'all, so here is the final look. That color is just so pretty. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Follow me on Facebook and Instagram at GetNailDirty2, and I'll see you guys next time.